What is up, my friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business video cast. This is the show for videographers and studio owners who want to learn how to get paid what they're worth, run a smarter business, and live a better life. My name is Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and I have the huge honor of being the host of the show. Thanks for being here. In today's episode, I interview Facebook ads expert Michelle Caruana, and the big things that we talk about are Facebook ads and how to get started, how to get some quick wins, and what to avoid when running ads for your video business. We also talk about the customer journey, what the heck that is, and why you need one for your own clients. Doing ads for a service-based business like a video company, they can totally work, but it's got to be done. They've got to be done the right way. And Michelle walks us through some of the most important stuff that you need to know before you boost any more posts on Facebook, waste any more money, or add more money to your current Facebook ads campaign. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, Core Group, and then we'll jump right into this episode. If there was one thing that could have ended my business 17 years ago, it would be because of the numbers. I hate accounting, taxes, W-9s, W-2s, WD-40s, spreadsheets, all of that stuff. And I hate it mostly because I'm afraid of it. I'm just not great with numbers. If this sounds familiar, or if you're so new in your business that it's not even on your radar yet, you need Core Group. Core Group can help you create financial systems and tax strategies that you need so you can grow profitably, and they've been doing this for over 20 years. They become an extension of your team so that you can stay in your lane of expertise and then lean on them to help guide you along the way. For me, having a team of experts in my corner to help keep track of our books and just to make sure that we're budgeting for taxes appropriately, to have an actual strategy for our taxes and our accounting is priceless. And it allows me to sleep easier at night, knowing that I don't have to be an expert in that arena. If you want to avoid surprises in your video business, and you want experienced help building a plan for the future that you want, both professionally and personally, head over to studiosherpas.com/core for more information. And when you're ready to set up a free consult with them, make sure to mention Studio Sherpas for a special discount too. Got your back. Get more out of your accountant. Go to studiosherpas.com/core. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to this episode. Today, we've got Michelle Caruana, who is a corporate marketing professional turned local business owner turned online entrepreneur. As someone who was stuck, let me do that one more time for the editor. As someone who was stuck on the marketing hamster wheel for years in marketing her own business, her passion is now helping other local business owners simplify and streamline their strategies so they can get new sales, bookings, and clients while they spend their time doing what they love in their business. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I love the journey of your story, which is why I think it's just so relevant and good for you to be here, because we're in this spot of, service-based filmmakers, videographers that, we're find new opportunities with clients. We're trying to find new opportunities with old clients, and it feels like a hamster wheel. And a lot of times we don't want to get on the hamster wheel because, to try to convince somebody to hire us, it's hard. The thing we want to do, the thing that we love is we love shooting. We love editing. We love telling stories. We love, connecting with people that love what we do, but finding those people, that's like one of the biggest challenges. So I'm super tell me a little bit more, like, what was the lightning bulb moment for you where you just were like, you've had a couple of transitions in your career, but to be where you're at today, what was the thing where you said, this is what I want to do, at least for this season in my life? This is the thing that is getting me so fired up.
Yeah. So when I started in corporate marketing, I was working for Wegmans Food Market. So it's a big supermarket chain on the East Coast. And I was doing marketing and business intelligence, and I was just starting to run Facebook ads for them. It was when Facebook ads were very new, and we had basically an unlimited budget because, it was a Fortune 500 company, very different from what I experience now. So it was basically almost like I say, playing with Monopoly money, because we had unlimited budget, unlimited testing opportunities. We had all of these databases that we could tap into. And then once I transitioned, I ended up leaving my job and I opened a brick and mortar indoor playground, which is a very random transition, but I was having kids. It was something I really wanted to do. And I started running Facebook ads and doing marketing for my own business. And I guess the juxtaposition of going from that Fortune 500 company to running my own business was so harsh and so severe that I just felt like I was always posting on Instagram or always posting on
Mhm.
Facebook. I would go to bed at night literally thinking, oh, I didn't email my list today. I listened to this podcast and they said I should do this. Like I always felt like I was missing out on something. Whereas when I was working at my corporate job, it was like there was always a team to get things done. There were processes.
Mm.
Everything was lined up. So I guess that juxtaposition was really the light bulb moment for me. I kind of thought, there must be a better way for small local businesses to make an impact in their market without having that unlimited budget. And that's what really inspired me because, my passion was working alongside my family and engaging with my community, but I was spending all of my time marketing. And when I wasn't spending time marketing, I was spending time regretting what I didn't do. So I just thought there must be a better way. And I guess that was kind of the light bulb moment for me.
Yeah. As you're like just explaining the things that you forgot, or that you're like, oh my gosh, wait, or I need to do this more. That is a feeling that I know everyone that's going to listen to this episode they're just nodding their head. They're like, yeah, I mean, I shouldn't even be listening to this podcast because the takeaway, there's going to be things that I need to do because of what Ryan and Michelle talk about today.
I know. So I always call like my programs and things like that, like the fix for shiny object syndrome. I am all about simplifying. And I know before we hopped on, we were talking about like Clubhouse, and there's always something new, shiny in our peripheral vision. But especially for local business owners, I think establishing that really strong foundation and just simplifying everything will really help kind of cure that, I guess, regretfulness and that shiny object syndrome that so many of us face.
So what do you mean when you say simplifying everything? Because I want that. I want a simpler business. I want a simpler life so that I can get crazy and have big dreams and ideas and stuff over here. But that's the stuff that always kind of interferes with the day-to-day day-to-day things that have to get done.
Yep. So to me, it all boils down to just a sales process. And I know sales funnel is like a yucky term that some of us don't like to use. It's been associated with like bro marketing and things like that. So I
Yeah.
don't really like to use it. I like to use customer journey.
Hmm.
But it all boils down to having a process from getting somebody who first enters your ecosystem. So whether that be, for me, it's through YouTube and my podcast. That's where people generally find me. For some people, it's Instagram or social media, wherever that initial platform is that most people find you, where your ideal customer hangs out. Having a process to move them from brand new to your ecosystem all the way through to getting to know, like, and trust you, and then moving them all the way ultimately to becoming a paid customer or client. So again, technically that's a sales funnel, but it's really just about capturing their contact information so that you can continue to forge a really authentic relationship with them, continue delivering value until they decide that they need or want your service, and then become a paying client.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's stuff that I talk about all the time. If you can create value, if you can create the kind of content that your ideal client wants and needs, then like that's when it comes time to not ask for the sale, but when it comes time for them to, like, they're ready to hire somebody. I mean, you are, if you're not the top one, you're like the top two, right?
Right. And if they don't need your product or service, you're at least top of mind so they can recommend you to family or friends or something like that. So it's just about, again, forming that relationship, like you talk about so much on this podcast, staying top of mind, staying in front of your ideal customers so that when it is time to either actually purchase your services or recommend them, you are their go-to person.
So what does somebody do, like when I first started my business, we were getting hired by friends, family, and then eventually, and some of those people would refer to their network. But for somebody who is really just starting out, like what is the step to take for them to say, like, well, I mean, get somebody on my email, like where do I find the person to get them on my email list? Why do they want to get on my email list? And then, like, what kind of stuff, like, what am I going to email them?
Yep. So that's a great question. So the first part of my process is always to do research on your ideal customer. So before you ever think about creating a lead magnet, before you ever start thinking about creating a nurture sequence or a sales funnel, I always start with the research. And my best way of doing this, especially when I owned a local indoor playground, was doing focus groups. And this can be done over Zoom, it can be done over the phone, it can be a lot simpler than I think a lot of people make it out to be. It's really just about understanding what objections they face before hiring you for their service. So, for example, in my Facebook ad management business, the biggest objective that people face before hiring me is, they've wasted money on ads before. They've had bad experiences with Facebook Ads Manager. So, before I ever decided to design my lead magnet and put money towards list building strategies, I had to understand that. So now my main list building driver is a lead magnet that is 36 questions to ask a potential Facebook ads manager before you hire them. And it's
Mm,
completely geared towards making sure it's not only a good business fit and that the ads manager has the right experience, but also making sure your values align. So bringing that back to somebody who does, videography or something like that, I would really encourage people to go back to their ideal customer. What objections are they facing? Are there objections surrounding price? Is it around maybe thinking they can DIY the job? There are all different sorts of objections that people face before hiring them. And that is what I try to center my lead magnet around. So, step number one is always that research and understanding. Step two is figuring out what objection, there is probably a couple, but I like to tell people to start with just one. What is the major objection that people have to overcome before they actually, pull out their credit card and make a payment to you? So, depending on that answer, that's where I talk about lead magnet creation. And I generally like to view the lead magnet as almost a bridge. So, getting people from just beginning to know you to all the way, okay, I've overcome this objection. I'm now more ready or totally ready to hire you for this product or service.
yeah, I love that. So having something that is desirable. I love that 36 questions to ask someone before they hire Facebook ads manager. I mean, that's that right there. You could just create, 10 things that you need to ask your video company before,
Yes.
they hire. I mean, because really like the magic in that is you're subtly telling them like even, every video
I
company
can
does.
answer all these.
What's that?
I'm telling people like, hey, I can answer all these,
It's like you are the expert and you can position it however you want. You can say, hey, if your video company doesn't ask you, when is this project due, they're missing something very important. And you can really craft it around what are the things that are most important to you when you work with a new client. And if you don't like working with people that are super serious, you can build your questions around that. I think that just that simple of a lead magnet can be super super effective, because when somebody is like needing to hire, they don't know what they don't know, and people a lot of times admit that they're like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to ask other than like, what does this thing cost? Oh, well, here, let me help you. Here's our little guide that's going to tell you these are the questions you should ask us or any other video company. I mean, that just, we could probably end right now, not give people a lot of homework and just do that, and that would be a huge win for any video company that is trying to get people to hire them.
Yes, and I love this type of lead magnet as well. Just to reiterate what you said, it kind of positions you as not only the expert, but the guide.
Yeah.
So it kind of, natively tells them, like, I have your best interest in mind.
Mhm.
Even if you don't hire me, I want to give you a free resource to use to hire whoever you decide to move forward with. Because as somebody who works in a niche business, which I'm sure a lot of the people listening do, it's just as important, I feel, to attract your ideal customers as it is to repel people that you
Yes.
can't do your best work for. And I have made so many mistakes in this. I've worked with people that didn't align with my values. I've worked with people who just I wasn't able to get great success for because we weren't aligned in expectations or budget or whatever the case may be. So I love that this type of lead magnet again positions you as the guide and just lets them know that you're here to help, you're here to serve, you're here to, serve their business however you're able to. But you also understand that you might not be the best fit for everybody, because I think that's important, especially, in my business in marketing. It's, a lot of people feel constantly sold to, especially small local business owners. So I think it's important to lead with that value, like you say so often.
So I was going to say, like, one of the questions I was going to put in this thing is like, if your company, the video company that you're working with is not named Tell Studios, then you probably shouldn't hire them. But what I hear you saying is that maybe not everybody is a good fit for us as a video company. So maybe that's not the best question.
Right. Yes. I mean, it's knowing about, who you do your best work for. Like I said,
Yeah.
there are some industries that I just can't find the words for, that I just don't excel in my copywriting for. Like, for example, I had a client once who was a holistic wellness practitioner, and I just didn't necessarily agree with her practices. I just couldn't find a way to align myself with her ideal customers. I couldn't relate to them. And so that is just an industry that I kind of stay away from. Nothing against it. It's just not a good fit for me. So what I do as a business owner is I kind of take that lead magnet. If she then, because I have, of course, a follow-up email sequence after somebody downloads that to kind of further see if we're a good fit to work together, and then gives them some next steps. So if they come back and say, this is the industry I work with, I say, I do have a Facebook ads course to recommend to you. I don't know if we're a good fit for one-on-one work, but I do have recommendations for you. And I have a network of people that I, trust to kind of hand those clients off to. But I am all about serving a very niche client and doing my best work for them, and kind of letting other people work with the people that aren't a good fit for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super smart. It's one of my favorite things to teach the Studio Sherpas audience is that, the sooner you can get a no, the better, right? As soon as somebody says like, no, we're not a good fit. Cool. I didn't have to say that. Or the sooner you can discover, like, you know what, this actually is, we don't serve that market well. There are a bunch of other people that are going to get way more excited about your product or service than we are. And to save you time, energy, and whatever, it's not a good fit. And if you can refer them, like, that's even like next level. If you have a couple of, other companies that would be a good fit, not people that you're like, oh my gosh, like this client has $0 and they seem like the worst, I'm going to hand them off or refer them to my arch enemy. Don't do that. Like, don't be that person, right? But if you can help, the person that's inquiring that's not a good fit for you, and introduce them to somebody that might be a good fit for, please do that. That would be, the thing that I want to be able to do for others, and I hope they would do that for me as well.
Right. Because you still want to leave them with a positive experience,
Totally.
even if you didn't get a chance to work together, at least they had a positive interaction. And if they do come across a business owner, because one thing I know about business owners is that they surround themselves with other business owners, is that they can recommend you to a future friend or acquaintance who might be a better fit for you. So I'm always about leaving the interaction positive. Because the worst thing to me that can happen is I sign a client, it goes south, it is a negative experience, and then we both, have that negative experience, and then that can never translate into future sales or client. So if I can't serve someone to the best of my ability, I am very quick to pass them on to somebody who I think could do a better job based on their experience. Or
I think that's a great point. Sorry to cut you off there, but to that point, it's like, if you were to say no to, maybe it's a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 opportunity and you're like, it's not a good fit, but I'll do it anyway. We've done jobs like that. And we get to the end and we're just like, oh my gosh, that was so draining. The client was drained. It wasn't a great fit. And we kind of identified that, early on. But if you can identify that, like, think of it like, yes, you might be losing out on this $20,000 opportunity. But here's the thing. Those companies that we've worked with over the years that it just wasn't a good fit, not only do they not refer us, they probably, well, I shouldn't say they probably, there's a chance that if somebody said, hey, what do you think about Tell Studios? There's a chance that they could say, oh, you know what, we worked with them and it didn't go great. So not only, could you might not be making this all this, $20,000 or whatever. There's still an opportunity if you can serve that client without doing video, but refer them somewhere else that, is a good recommendation. There's future opportunities for you from that client. But if you're stepping into a relationship where you shouldn't be, the chances of, yeah, you got $20,000, but was it worth it? And then there's future opportunities from other potential referrals that you're just not going to get because of what I just said.
Right, absolutely. It's all yeah, it to me it's all about opportunity cost. And I went to school for economics, so that is my forte. That is where I live. I'm like a numbers person. And to me, $20,000 means nothing if I can spend that time working with an ideal customer that, like I said, is going to translate into future recommendations, is going to make a great testimonial, is going to a great success story. Because something that I think is so underappreciated in marketing, and videographers actually do this very well, but a lot of industries don't, is storytelling and sharing success stories and things like that. And if that $20,000 project is not going to result in future clients through either referrals or testimonials, then to me, I would much rather spend that time finding another client that is a better fit, that will result in making sure my business remains sustainable.
Yeah, I think that's really good. One, do you mind if I just share like a quick story?
Yeah, of course.
So, oh, not to like say like you did the whole story thing, but that reminds me of, I remember early on in my career, anytime we would, we were shooting these like really fancy weddings and working with, all sorts of like cool people that was fun to name drop. And we could use all that in our marketing. But then we worked with our first client that made us sign an NDA. So essentially, we couldn't say the client's name. We weren't supposed to talk about it at all to anybody. And for me, I was like super turned off by this, when this first happened. And it happened a couple of times. And I just felt like, I'm like, well, how am I going to, there's a marketing opportunity for me that I'm not going to have. So, I was thinking, okay, maybe I charge these people more because, we're not going to be able to create marketing material and, put their faces out on the internet everywhere. But then I learned a very important lesson from one of the event coordinators that we were working with. She said, hey, listen, you're going to do this job for them. You're going to do a killer job. You're not going to be able to share it with anybody, but guess who their friends are? And I was like,
Exactly.
oh yeah. So what inevitably happened is we got hired by multiple members of their family and then multiple friends of theirs who are, and we've had to do NDAs on all of them, but the amount of money these people spent on the videos that we did for them, and they were also incredible people. So like, not just were we, I felt like, oh, we can't share this stuff. It was like, no, these are super fun, super just incredible, just so there is something to say. And not that I'm not saying that you weren't saying this at all, but just, think through like not every opportunity needs to be something like, oh, all right, if we're not going to be able to promote this, or there are people are going to refer you and they do it in different ways. So that's all. End of story. End of rant.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and it is so important. I have also had, Facebook ad clients that say, I would rather, because before I share a testimonial, I always ask permission. And I have had several people say, I'd rather not. But just like you said, there are different ways that can benefit your business. And I don't like to refer to clients, I don't like to say I will only work with clients that can have a future benefit to me.
Right.
That's really not what it's about. It's more about sharing the stories so that future clients that might be like them, that might be able to put themselves in their shoes, will be able to determine if you're a good fit based on that story. So I don't like to make it seem like I'm only using clients for, their future benefit to me. But exactly what you were saying, it is sometimes about doing the cost benefit analysis. Is this an ideal client? Is it a good fit for me? And sometimes the future benefit, if it is there, it comes in different forms. And you just have to, ask yourself, if it aligns with your business. And in this case, it sounds like you made a great choice. But it's not always crystal clear right when you sign a client, what the potential, marketing benefit could be. So it could manifest in different forms. So I'm glad you brought that up.
It's good. So are you saying that I did cost benefit analysis? Is that the right way to say that? Did I do
Probably, yeah, probably subconsciously. Probably said,
wow. Yeah,
if I do this one project, because especially for service-based businesses who, it takes time to do, as a course creator,
so many. Yep.
yeah, as a course creator, I don't have to think about this quite as much. But when I was a brick and mortar local service-based business owner, if I said yes to one, let's say birthday party, because that's what we did, that was our bread and butter, I would have to say no to another.
Right.
So that cost benefit analysis saying, is this worth it? Is it worth it for me to give up this time to work with this client where I could be working with another, maybe more ideal client? So maybe even subconsciously you're doing that, quick math in your head, and it sounds like you think twice.
Yeah, preach. That was really, really good. I think that point is one that I also try to, I try to talk about a lot because, again, it might be, wow, we got this cool $20,000 opportunity. Yeah, you can take it. It might not be your ideal client, might not feel like a great fit, but you're feeling like, this is cash. But as soon as you're saying yes to that, that's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of energy. And how much more work would you have to do to find 4 jobs at $5,000 that you would really enjoy working on, that aren't going to cause stress, that might create more referrals and other opportunities? So to do that, if you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So listen to Michelle's advice there. And I've said it to you before, so I'll say it again. Michelle, so let's say somebody creates their lead magnets. They've got, maybe a couple of emails that go out to people once they sign up for their 36 questions you should ask your videographer before hiring them. And then, people think like, I'm not getting the exposure. Like 3 people have signed up to my list. I don't know what to do. Would you suggest Facebook ads as a good next step or something else?
Okay, so kind of 2 great questions. So I'm going to answer them separately. So what I would recommend, and this is where simplification comes into play. So especially when I had my local service-based business, whenever somebody opted into my lead magnet for my indoor playground, it was actually like a free coffee with a visit. It was something like tangible, and it got them into my doors, which to me was the easiest way to sell people. Again, that was the objection. The objection that I was conquering was actually getting them into the facility so that they could book a birthday party. So this is where systems and simplification come into play. So whenever somebody opts into one of my lead magnets, I have them go through what I call a welcome nurture sequence, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with. But basically what it does is it further establishes you as the authority in your niche. It lets your potential customers know a little bit more about you, maybe how you work, what your process is. You can maybe use this as an opportunity to share some testimonials or success stories. So I always recommend like just setting up even a 3 email sequence, just delivering the lead magnet, something that you promised. So for me, it would be the 36 questions. It would be just explaining what the PDF is, how to use it, how to, give some tips on, you know, any other thing that goes into hiring a Facebook ads manager. And then the next email is, more introducing me, letting them know that I do have, free resources available on my podcast and my YouTube channel. Most people, I've monitored the analytics. A lot of people will then click over and subscribe, or they'll start consuming more content, because for me, those authority platforms are what drives my bookings. And then I have a third email that kind of finally asks for some sale. Now, for depending on how high ticket your offer is, you might need a much longer sequence. There might be a much longer process of establishing that know, like, and trust factor. So for me, for some of my courses that go all the way up to, $1,000, or my one-on-one consulting businesses is a little bit more high ticket, I actually have what I call, I don't like to use the word tripwire, but I guess that's what they are. They are lower priced offers that will get people into my environment. They will get them into my course library. They will get them into my actual paid content, because to me, that is another objection that people face. They're either not comfortable with e-learning, or they don't trust course creators for whatever reason. So getting them into my ecosystem with a low priced offer is how I generally move people closer to the sale. But for people who have, more service-based businesses, I just recommend having a couple emails, getting them to know, like, and trust you, and then finally asking for a sale. And this should be something that is automated, that is running in the background of your business, so that anytime somebody opts into your lead magnet, there's probably one of 2 scenarios that people probably feel that are listening to this podcast when somebody subscribes. Either they feel dread and they're like, oh my gosh, somebody's on my email list, I have to send something now. And they're like panicking because they don't know what to send. They don't know what to say. They feel all of this like I don't know if you use the word FOMO, but they like have this like fear of missing out. Like this person's on my email list. They've expressed interest. Now what do I do? So that's scenario number one, they feel dread. Or scenario number two, they feel comfort knowing that they have this nurture sequence that this person is going to work their way through at their own time. So I personally use Active Campaign, but you can set up an automated sequence using MailChimp. You can use Flowdesk, you can use whatever tool, but it's so important to have that nurture sequence running in the background of your business so that you're not constantly feeling pressured to communicate with those leads. Because when someone first steps into your email list, that's when they're hottest. That's when they're most interested. That's when they're most easily moved towards a sale or a booking. So having even just a few emails to start with and then adding more as time goes on is so important when it comes to simplifying everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. And I love, having essentially your website should be a sales tool, right?
Yes.
And it should work 24/7, right? So, to come into the office on a Monday morning and to have 3 emails in my inbox from people that are interested in our services, that's an amazing feeling. That means that, throughout the weekend, I wasn't reaching out to people saying, our man wasn't reaching out to people saying like, hey, if you need a video, but like they got an opportunity to say like, oh yeah, I guess I do want to call with this video company. The third email that they got sent that, okay, I can have a call and find out a little bit more information. Like to have that going in the background, people are always asking me, one of the biggest frustrations is like, I don't have enough opportunities. I'm just not having enough, opportunities to be able to sell our company and tell people about what we do. It's like, well, that's like a really smart and easy way to do it. And it's going to save yourself a 20-minute, a 60-minute phone call by not having to go through the 36 questions that you should ask every videographer before you hire them. So those people don't set up a phone call, but the people that really want to work with you, they've gone through that document, they've read your 3 emails, and they're like, this company, like this is where it's at. Like I need to get on a call with them. That's much different than somebody that calls you out of the blue. They just see, you're in the Google rankings, so they're going to call you. That conversation goes much different. And you're probably going to enjoy that first person who has gone through some of your emails. They understand your personality and they get you, they get it. So that conversation is going to go way better than somebody who just cold calls you and is like, well, tell me about, what kind of services do you got and how much is it? Okay. Yep. You just wasted my time because I only got $8 for huge video.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, when I sign a client, I want them to feel excited and I want them to feel comfortable and I want them to take a deep breath knowing that they're in good hands. If they cold called you, even if you used your best marketing tactics and your best sales script, chances are they're going to get off that call and be like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? They're going to be filled with worry. They are not going to feel that same excitement that somebody who's already had a chance to get to know your company, get to know your style a little bit better would have. And then I didn't really get to answer your second question,
Yes,
but
yes.
really quickly, once you find that process, once you find that perfect opt-in that again bridges the gap between someone who's just entering your ecosystem to somebody who actually becomes a paying customer, once you find that nurture sequence that moves them closer to a booking, once that starts working and once you figure out that it is going to convert into actual bookings, that's when it's the time to amplify that process with Facebook ads.
Mm.
The biggest mistake that I think a lot of, especially local service businesses make, is they get into ads too early and they will dump money into Facebook ads, sending people to their homepage,
Oh yeah.
sending people to for more information, enter your email address. And unfortunately, that is just not moving anybody closer to a sale. It's not giving people a clear next step. So what I recommend is, again, finding that perfect way to collect someone's contact information, really honing in on that nurture sequence, making sure your process is going to result in bookings. And that's when you need to spend money, once you already know that it's working and once you already found that perfect balance and you already have time to tweak and optimize it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm like furiously taking notes here. We've done that. We have tried a few different kinds of ads and we're always like, what the heck? But I just had an epiphany. Like if the sequence works with our own list, because we have like 1,000 people on our email list. And if we're sending an email out to try to book a workshop and nobody's booking a workshop, but we feel like we've got this cool lead magnet, and then we're like, well, let's expand the audience to the world. There's a chance that somebody eventually will hire us to do a workshop, but if we can't even get our own warm list to download this thing or sign up for this thing, that should be an indicator that that's not the right offer. So we need to figure out what is the right offer. What is the first next step that our email list or people that are inquiring about what we do, where can we take them that's enticing, that's interesting, that's actually working. So I love that you said that, because that's definitely something that I need back to the team to just reiterate and say, hey, if we don't have people already like super excited about this, talking about this, that are in our list already, then we to go outside of our ecosystem. I mean, it could work, like I'm saying. I'm not saying that it can't work, but we need some momentum with the current ecosystem first. I think, based on what you're saying.
It's a signal to dig deeper, and there might be an issue, and it might not be the offer, it might be the landing page. So I would say 9 times out of 10, when somebody hires me or when I have a prospective client call, I swear 9 times out of 10, they'll say, I've had terrible experience with Facebook ads. I've had no success. And when I'll actually dig into their ads account, the ads are getting clicks. Something that I always say probably 5 times a day is that ads sell the click. Your landing page or your offer is what makes the sale. And a lot of people don't find that connection. That's kind of lost on them. So what I'll do, and if anyone is a numbers person like me that's listening, what I'll do is I'll say, okay, 300 people clicked this ad, 300 people made it to the landing page, and one person bought. To me, that is not an indication that the Facebook ad was underperforming. Of course, I mean, this is assuming a lot of things, that the cost per click was okay with an industry standard, blah, blah, blah. But basically, if a ton of people are visiting a landing page and no one's opting in, sure, there could be a disconnect in the Facebook ad. There could be a mismatch in messaging. You could be targeting the wrong audience. But to me, that is a huge indicator that the landing page needs work, or the offer is just not what that person expects, or maybe it's, a slow landing time. But the takeaway is that it isn't always the Facebook ad's fault. Sometimes, and when I say sometimes, I mean 9 times out of 10, there is a breakdown in some other portion of the sales process. So either people are landing on the page and not opting in, or people are opting in, but then those opt-ins are not resulting in sales, indicating that there's something wrong with the nurture sequence, or your customer journey is off. Something is wrong with your messaging such that you're not moving people closer to a sale. But to me, that's not a Facebook ad problem. That is a problem with your customer journey that needs to be addressed. But all of those numbers and conversion rates and things like that, that's what tells the story. But most of the issues can't be blamed on Facebook ads.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well, I would love to just touch on. So we know that the offer is really important. So if you're just driving people from Facebook to your homepage, to your sign up to our newsletter. Okay, that doesn't sound very exciting at all. Just to a place, and they're not hiring you for your $20,000 video package, or they're not hiring you to consult or whatever. Then is there something that we can be doing as video videographers? What do I call ourselves? How can we engage with people? And it might be, to Michelle's point, just this like very simple 36 things that everybody should know. And, having that be very targeted to a specific group and audience that she recommended before, knowing who it is that is your ideal audience, and targeting them on Facebook or YouTube or wherever. So any like best tips or things that we should think through once we have our offer, when it comes to Facebook ads, how we should go to market with Facebook ads?
Yeah, so to me, it always depends a little bit on budget. I do think that you can be very effective with even a small $5 a day budget. You can easily do audience building with that, and you can also do list building with that. Will you probably get a ton of bookings right from your Facebook ads with that budget? Probably not, but that's another reason why I am such a proponent of using Facebook ads for list building. And I know, if you're listening to this, in early 2021, there's going to be a lot of changes coming down the pipe with Facebook ads that are going to start making retargeting ads a little bit less relevant. So my best tip, I guess, is to really focus on, again, bridging that gap, bridging that objection that somebody has with working with you, whether that be through a video. So for some of my clients, they are great on video and they get people to stop scrolling. So they're, they just have that like charisma, but some people are just not comfortable on video. I'm sure a lot of people listening are comfortable with video and they probably have recording setups. But to me, it's just all about testing, 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 finding what resonates with your audience. And this is going to sound a little bit like a duh thing, but do more of what works. So many times people will come to me and say, yeah, I run Facebook ads. Some of them did well, some of them didn't, but they won't understand what works and what doesn't work. They'll launch the ads, they'll see the results, but they won't spend that extra time actually looking at the results. Okay, which ad image or which ad video resonated? Which audience actually responded? They won't spend that extra time after the campaign to actually interpret that data and take those learnings away for next time. So if I'm giving anybody a tip, it's that you need to follow it all the way through from launch to monitoring it while it's actually active. But you also need to, even if the ad isn't successful, there are so many takeaways that you can learn from the data. And you don't have to be a data scientist to interpret this. You can, again, just compare which image cost more than others. But so many people miss that and they miss so many learning opportunities. And even when I'm just starting out with a client, I'll launch ad campaigns that fail. I've been doing this for years and years and years. I've spent millions of dollars on Facebook ads. I don't launch a winning campaign every single time, but I never let one single dollar go to waste because I'm always digging into that data and taking those learnings away to my next campaign so I don't make the same mistake. So I don't choose the placements that didn't convert. So I don't put creative in front of my audience that doesn't resonate again. So even if you feel like you are wasting money with Facebook ads really come down to testing, tweaking, and optimizing, and it is a learning process.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, that's really, it's good and it's true. And as we're with Tell Studios, we're kind of like trying to rethink like, we've got another offer. We're going to try this. And we keep getting closer and closer. But unless we're actually out there testing and like, hey, like, let's burn $300. Let's just know that we're probably never going to see this, but it's a way for us to test something this month or this quarter. And then
Yeah,
what's that?
It's never a waste as long
Yeah,
as you're learning something that you can take to
totally.
the next campaign. And even for service-based businesses, actually, especially for local service-based businesses, I always spend between 85 and 90% of the budget on list building. To me,
Mm.
that is the number one. When I look at a service-based business that is successful versus one that is struggling to get clients or struggling to stay booked, it's that they prioritize list building. The successful ones always have list building efforts. They always have lead generation happening on the back end of their business. They might not be spending, 10 hours a week on it, but it is running behind the scenes in their business. And that's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about simplifying these systems, because you don't have to feel like you always need to be chasing clients. You could have, a $5 or $10 a day Facebook ad, just building your email list, just getting people's contact information, getting them opted into your list. And then they can just move through the sequence while you do what you love, serving your clients the way you do best. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, because it doesn't have to feel like you're always chasing people. It can be more simplified, but it all just comes down to that customer journey and making sure that's set up.
I love that. That's really good. Yeah, really, really good information. I knew this was going to be good, but I'm furiously taking notes and definitely excited to apply some of this. Michelle, where can people keep up with you online?
Yep. So my website is just my name. So it's michellecaruana.com. And if you have questions about Facebook ads specifically, it's just michellecaruana.com/ads. That's where all of my freebies are. I am also the host of the Marketing Junkie podcast, where I talk about simplifying marketing strategies every single week. And I'm also on YouTube. Just search my name.
Awesome. Really good. Anything you want to leave us with today?
The only thing I would like people to leave with is that, I guess, again, it is so important to make sure your sales process works before spending money on Facebook ads. Again, that's something that I literally hear myself say 5 or 10 times a day. It is very easy to do, and it is the number one mistake people make, is not testing their process first and making sure it works before they spend money on Facebook ads. So we got to work on the foundations before we take it from there.
That's rich. Really good. Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. Super fun to spend this time together with you, and appreciate all of your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thanks again for watching this episode. I'd love to know, what's your big takeaway? Like, are you currently using Facebook ads? Did this episode make you think like, yeah, actually I could use ads. Ads might work for my business, or no way, still not. I'm just going to stay away from YouTube ads, Facebook ads, all that stuff. Leave a comment. Let me know. If you like this show, I think maybe hit the like button, subscribe, do all of the things. Maybe there's a bell somewhere. But would love to, if this was a helpful episode for you, do those, but share it with somebody that you think might get something out of it. And if you're looking to build some confidence on the phone or in Zoom calls with potential clients, and maybe you feel like you're leaving money on the table because you're not asking the right questions, you don't like talking about sales, you hate talking about budgets, you might be losing out on a lot of potential money and ways that you could actually serve your clients. So I've got a free workshop called, what is it called? How to Get Your Client's Budget. and I walk you through the 4 magic questions on how I get a client's budget or their budget range, and really figure out if this is the person that you're chatting with is a potential good fit in how you could actually serve and help them. So you can grab that by going to studiosherpas.com/budget. Again, it's a free workshop. Hopefully that helps you in your business as you're trying to gain confidence and growing confidence in your sales and marketing skills. Put that together for you. So thank you again for watching. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Till then, peace out. Back when I started my video company, stock footage, it used to be the worst. It was terrible quality, super cheesy shots, and really small selection, and it was really expensive. That is not the case with Storyblocks. They offer affordable subscription plans to their enormous library of stock footage, and with their unlimited access plan, you get access to the whole library, including HD and 4K footage. They've got After Effects and Premiere Pro templates, music, images, sound effects, and more. Seriously, there is tons. There have been so many projects where our team just needed one extra shot. Maybe the day after the shoot, the client was like, hey, this would have been a great thing to get. And we're like, ah. Or in post-production, they're like, hey, it'd be a really cool shot. We've saved our clients and ourselves a ton of money and headaches and heartaches. And we've saved a couple of projects that just needed that one special shot with our Storyblocks subscription. Head over to storyblocks.com/studiosherpas to help you create more video with their affordable subscriptions.